Sasank, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. So, for people who are listening to this who do not know who Sasank is, Sasank is a co-founder at qure.ai. Qure.ai was one of the earliest deep learning companies in India, and also one of the earliest deep learning companies applying deep learning to medical technologies, medical imaging in India. Recently, he's also been involved in John AIC. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
JOHNAIC.
Sasank passionately hates the cloud, if I'm not wrong, and we'll get into that why. Actually, before we get into Cure or John AIC, if anybody's gone to the news recently, I think what everyone's been talking about is DeepSeek R1, beating or their performance of the R1 model being on par with OpenAI O1. I mean, when I think O1 was released, I think everybody thought that, now OpenAI is so much ahead of everybody in terms of competition, and they're so close to AGI. It's just a flywheel from here. From O1 they're going to rapidly, even they showed that, in a few months they got O3 out. So everybody was like, this is OpenAI really is off to the races. But first, DeepSeek released the V3 model, which was comparable to 4.0, and recently they've released the R1 model, which is comparable to O1. So, want to get your take on how you're thinking about this. What are the implications of this release? Any thoughts you might have on this?
I'm actually quite inspired by what DeepSeek did. It's honestly inspirational, right? Like, you remember Sam Altman said in one of like came over like to I think Peak 15's one of the shows there, and then said like someone asked like, can how do I train my own model? They said like you cannot, give up. Well, like world proved him wrong. Chinese proved him wrong. It's awesome to be vindicated, right? And then it's also awesome to be vindicated with the open source model. I think that's part of the reason why people are excited about it, is that it's an open source model which I can deploy on my machine. That opens up a lot of things. OpenAI, as you all know, moved from open to closed. Now it's like closed AI. So it's nice to see, that they are they are challenged, and it's so nice to see. I think and it's also great, I think, because from the model point of view and from the community point of view, I think more people will be open to training their own models now, because DeepSeek showed that you can do it. So more people will be open, and I think, you see, I meet most of the folks that I meet are just using APIs and getting by. I think they should really think, what, if DeepSeek can do it, we can do it too. Like we can do it too. 6 million, that's what they spent. So that's a good thing.
I mean that was the most crazy stat for me, right? Like even I have heard the Sam Altman interview. I think he was talking to Rajan Anand from Peak 15, and I think it was one of I think when he was in India for his world tour, when he was doing that world tour soon after the ChatGPT release. Even I came from that same mindset. Even I thought that to train these foundational models you need at least double digits million dollars, or at least double digit million dollars, or at least hundreds of millions of dollars. And I think even companies were raising so much and looking for the next generation of NVIDIA GPUs. But DeepSeek with, I think, not more than 3,000, I think 2,000, 2,005, less than 2,500 GPUs, they've managed to train this. The amount that people are spending on compute, and the amount that large big companies are spending on AI per se, do you think that's going to massively change from now, or how do you see any insights there?
Yeah, so this is the main reason why I don't like cloud. We can get to that, but I don't think it'll change. I think more than ever it proved to me that GPUs are everything. More than ever it proved to me, because see, 2500 GPUs. We take it like this. Like we just said, it's just 2500 GPUs. Don't get me. I mean, give me 2500 GPUs. Like, give me. I will also do wonders. Like, give me 2500 GPUs. No one's gonna give me, man. 2500 is still a lot. It's still a lot. How many GPUs do you own? How many GPUs do I own? I probably own maybe like 4 or 5. That's it. I'm GPU middle class. Okay. How many GPUs? They are still GPU rich, man. They are not GPU filthy rich. They are still GPU rich. Make no mistake. So GPU rich is going to be a thing. You know the concept, right? GPU poor, GPU rich.
Actually, I'm not. If you can share what that is.
So this is very nice this is very nice advisory group, not analytics analyst group for semiconductors called Semi Analysis. So one time they have released a blog which talked about stratification of startups and companies and people into GPU rich and GPU poor. So GPU poor are those who do not either do not have access to the any GPUs or have very little access to GPUs. They just cannot do anything, right? GPU rich are the ones who own like hecton of GPUs. They can train models, they can host those models, and they can give access to them to other people, right? So the OpenAI, so the biggest thing that OpenAI did is nothing architecturally, nothing big. They just bought a lot of GPUs with Microsoft's money, and essentially trained their models on top of it. So that's why they because they had a lot of GPUs. They people call them GPU rich, and then everyone else became GPU poor. So we don't have own any GPUs, so we are GPU poor. So yeah, so 2,500 GPUs is still GPU rich. It's not GPU filthy rich where you have 20, 30,000 of these GPUs. It's not filthy rich, but still rich. Like seriously.
Just while on this, any thoughts on why? See, ultimately, it took DeepSeek, like, even though they're not filthy GPU rich, I don't know if any organization in India has like 2000 or 2500 GPUs. I'm guessing any. Do you think there is an organization in India which has like north of 2000 GPUs?
So I don't think any organization in India, any AI guys, they don't own GPUs for whatever reason. I don't understand. So they don't own GPUs. They instead go to cloud and pay them for cloud. That's exactly the thing that is bullshit. DeepSeek owns their GPUs, and that's a big deal.
I think this is the right time for I think for you to elaborate your case on why, like, why is that a problem? Like, why is renting out GPUs not better than like, why is renting out GPUs not better than like, why owning GPUs is much better than renting them out, or why you hate the cloud per se?
Yeah, so because they are overcharging you, man. They are charging you 10 times the what it costs for you to actually put it yourself, get it done yourself. They are charging you 10 times more, and that so that is basically hurting people who wants to train models and all. Like, see, like in the first place, GPUs themselves are expensive, right? And then you have to go to cloud and pay 10x premium for those, right? And then what models will you train? What things will you do? Nothing. You will end up doing nothing. What models are you going to serve? You are going to be, so the computation, people say poverty is a state of mind, like one guy said. So similarly, like, GPU poverty is also state of cloud. You be in cloud, you are forever GPU poor. You never own the GPUs. You will always overpay, and you will never be able to do anything cool. Like, forget DeepSeek, you will not even be able to train a basic model. So that limits a lot of people from doing anything. You cannot even uh, l- it's just like, so you when you own the cluster, when you own the whole cluster like Facebook, Meta, fine, you don't have to own at that level. You can at least start by owning like a few GPUs. You will, because they are lying down there, you will start thinking, hey, I can also train a small model because GPUs are free, right?
Are these GPUs helpful if somebody wants to train foundational models, or are you saying cloud is also a better option if I'm only like, let's say I don't want to train foundational models, but maybe I serve applications, or maybe I don't have so much of a use case. Do you think that for all cases cloud is bad, or do you think just for like in terms of, because in the sense that maybe if I own like a lot of GPUs, if I'm not utilizing them like 24/7, and that's why these cloud providers, even if they don't use internally, they can always rent them out to other people, right? So if I own my GPUs, and if I'm not making the most out of it, maybe it's better for me to rent out. So if you can maybe give out the case, when is it better to rent, or is there never a time to rent?
Okay, so the whether it's CPU based workload or GPU based workload, this doesn't change. Whatever math I'm going to tell you, right? Whatever thing that I'm going to tell you. So, do you stay in a rented apartment or a owned apartment?
Unfortunately, rented, yeah.
Okay. So, how much do you pay rent? Like, how much would the give me rough numbers? Don't have to be accurate.
My rent is, I live in a 1 BHK. My rent is 13.5.
13.5. How much would that 1 BHK cost for you to buy?
I have no fucking idea. I don't know.
Maybe like where you are in Bangalore, right?
I'm JP Nagar, yeah.
JP Nagar. Let's take a small. Let's take a reasonably like low number. I don't know how much one BHK would cost there. Let's just say it's 30 lakhs. Okay, it's very cheap. That's 30 lakhs is very cheap for that area. So I don't know the estimate. So let's assume that it's 30 lakhs, right? And you are paying 13.5 thousand rupees. So how long will it? So how many times do you have to pay rent to pay off the whole thing? So it will take you about 18 years to pay this off, which is exactly why you are renting this place. 100%. You made original decision, correct? So it's taking you about 18 years to pay this off at this rental thing. So it's clearly it's much easier. It's much cheaper to just rent it out. It's a great decision. But what if your apartment's rent is only is like is basically 10 lakhs? What if your apartment's rent is 10 lakhs and 3 months in 3 months you are paying off the apartment? Would you still rent it?
No, at that point, I'd probably buy the place, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I'm paying it in 3 months, I'm staying here for longer. I'll just buy it, right? That's the same math for cloud. You just recover the cost in 3 months. You're still renting it. You gotta be dumb for it, doing it. It only costs 3 months worth of rent in cloud to buy off the machine. You understand how crazy that is? So now, like now you are saying I'll say free capacity, whatnot. Even if you bought the server, kept it idle for kept it idle for 1 year, in the kept it idle for 9 months and used it only for 3 months, you're still paying it. You just used like 1 hour every day, or like you just used it like one like few hours every day, 6 hours every day. You are still paying off for it. You don't need to. It just doesn't make sense to rent out GPUs anymore, or CPUs, for anything for that matter at this point of time. It doesn't make sense. If you can own it, you should own it, because those guys are like charging you like crazy. So now what AI will you do with this? With this such an order magnitude larger number, when, see, in India we already get funded lower than what we get funded in US, because supposedly our costs are lower, right? We already get funded lower, and you want to burn the funding on idiot cloud instead of doing something with the compute that you do have access to. So instead of spending 1 million on 1 million on cloud every year, you will basically build a very good cluster of GPUs here. Build them and start running some DeepSeek or whatever. On cloud, you can never do it.
So I want to switch gears a little bit here. So I know that in your current in your current company, I mean the work that you're involved in currently, you are selling like kind of specific servers or like custom made servers. So how difficult is it for you? You know how you made that case for me, right? Like doing the math for me and then breaking it down and not trying to you broke that math down for me. So how difficult is it to like convince people that because intuitively I think everybody has believed that cloud is obviously always the way to go. You want to start off with cloud, and only then you want to build your own infra or whatever. And generally people resort building their own infra as the last resort. So how difficult is it for you to kind of convince people that, or make arguments that cloud is really not the way to go?
It's been pretty difficult, man. It's been pretty difficult. Being honest, People have been brainwashed by cloud and the marketing around it. The thing is, not only are they brainwashed, uh, so the way it works is, you see, uh, they just are unable to think outside that cloud box. They just don't even know that there is another option, and they are not willing to even consider that there is another option, right? And the moment I challenge them, hey, you can do it, what ends up happening is they get very defensive and throw at me all the cloud marketing points, scalability, reliability, that this, blah blah blah. So they will throw at all these things to me, and it's been pretty hard for me to convince the startups, who start out to use this. Especially difficult for me has been the credits. So you see, these cloud guys give you this 100K credits. They feel like huge ass number. 1 crore I am getting. So free, right? So it feels okay. Now you get addicted to cloud. and now you are able to just simply think outside that whole box. So to put the perspective, so I make this server thingy, so 100K credits. So I cannot directly compare these credits with server, because credits are an operational expenditure. With buying servers, it's a capital expenditure, right? So I cannot really compare both of them, but I made some assumptions, and it turns out that 100,000 credits is just three computers of mine, just three JOHNAICs. That's it. It is just three computers that they're overselling you that it's scalable, reliable, bullshitable, all that stuff. There's lot of there's lot of propaganda, and then people are just unable to think outside the box, and they want to follow the herd. You see, like a lot of times they will not even think critically, because once you think critically, the case is easy to make, right? But so most of the time people don't think with their minds. They just think what everyone else is doing. I don't want to take risk, I will follow what everyone else is doing. It's a very good social strategy, but it's not. But there will be some people who are willing to question the authority, question that cloud is the only way to go, and those are the people whom I am finding as customers right now. Luckily for me, my startups are the ones who generally use the cloud, right? But startups sell their product to their customers. So luckily for me, those customers are my friends. Why? Because they say that, dude, I don't want to send my data to your cloud or any cloud. I want data to be in my own premises. So the enterprises are asking that no data can leave my premise. So that creates a pull for me, in terms of uh, pull for me from the same guys who are unable to think outside cloud box. They are forced to think outside cloud box because of the customers unwilling to share their data because of AI privacy concerns. So that's a headwind. I said that's a tailwind I have.
So I think the biggest industries which will have that is I think banking, and I think even healthcare also generally don't want to upload their data to the cloud. Or I mean that's my guess. Is that correct?
Banking, healthcare, manufacturing. Um, Honestly, even tech companies these days, they don't want to send their data to ChatGPT. Even tech companies are blocking. Even biggest tech companies are blocking ChatGPT in their own premise because they are worried that Sam Altman will steal their data. It's what it. They are scared. So but generally speaking, those are the ones. Yes, banking, uh, uh, healthcare, like very big enterprises, um, or yeah, so people who do not have access to internet, which is different story altogether. But yes.
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree to that. I mean, we have certain clients in our I mean, the company I'm involved in as well, where when we go to sell them, like even if we tell them that like OpenAI does not train with their data because they have said so. I mean, they still don't believe OpenAI. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like they are like, no, we don't trust them. So either we want like a local LLM solution, or we just don't want the data to go to OpenAI or Gemini. So yeah, that is going to be a major concern, I think. Yeah, going forward.
Enterprises are careful about this. Enterprises are very protective about their data and their moat. They just don't want like other guys listening on them. It's what it is. Which sort of customers are these?
These are also sort of like banking related. I mean, yeah.
Understood. Banking guys for sure will not want to give, because imagine which bank do you use?
Which bank do I use? I use ICICI.
So imagine if ICICI uploads all your banking statements to OpenAI, and OpenAI now tells you that, hey, why did you visit that place? And sends you, forget ads, tells your girlfriend or whatever that you have visited somewhere, and then does something. It's very much possible, man. This people are like, you can, there's no verifiable guarantee that he will not retrain. It's just like, I will have to believe OpenAI. That's it. See, you remember, like, for me, the I think for many of for many of my customers and for myself, the eye opener with this whole privacy angle was, Sam Altman did this OpenAI. They released that. when no one itself they wanted to release a voice mode. Remember, they never ended up releasing it. Remember the voice mode with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do.
The height of at the height of OpenAI's hype machine, right? He even tweeted her, and then so he made OpenAI talk like Scarlett Johansson. Remember?
Yeah.
So that was the like Scarlett Johansson explicitly told them, "Do not use my voice." They still used it, right? They still used it, right? They still made it sound, and then they later told that no, 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 it's not your data, it's some other voice actress data. Will anyone believe that? Like, will if that happens to your customers' data, are you going to take liability? So it's just like yeah, I don't think customers they are careful about these things. It's especially enterprises are very careful. So turns out Indians SMBs are also very careful about this. They do want privacy. They don't want to share their data with anyone. From my interaction with people, they don't want to share.
So when is it that after you convince them, people are like ready to kind of? Yeah, I mean, the customers that you do have. I mean, is it mostly, there are people who already believe in the story, right? I mean, some people don't need to be convinced. Once they're proactively looking for solutions where I don't want to share any data. Is that like your majority inflow, or are there situations where you actually talk to people and they actually listen to you and they change their mind and then they're like, oh yeah, fuck, yeah, this does make sense. Does that happen a lot, or like what's the ratio there?
I think the right now I don't do outbound sales as we call it. So like I don't reach out to people saying, hey, you should like get down LinkedIn, you get this advertising, like buy the machine, buy this, buy that. I hate it. So I hate it when someone does it to me, and I also hate it when I do it. So I don't want to do it with anyone. So I don't do it. So most of the customers that I do get are inbound. So they are already interested in the solution. They already are interested in either they are being bitten by cloud, that or they have heard about me from different people, and they have heard about what I'm doing, and then they reach out to me. So that's the general thing that I'm doing. uh, Once in a while, I think like people who are bitten by the cloud bills are the ones that come to me. They are like, how do I fix this? Sort of they come to me for a solution. Generally speaking, yeah, it's been uphill journey. Like it's an uphill journey to convince someone who is like so addicted to cloud to get off it. I was one of them. I empathize with them. I was one of them. Okay. So I was such a on-prem hater. I used to hate, I mean, okay, fine. Yeah, I used to hate it. Still I used to have on-prem, but I still used to hate it. I said like, hey, I mean, I wanted to use cloud and all. But my customers showed me the way. Like my customers in my previous organization just showed me my place. You know what? Fuck you, fuck cloud. You cannot do it. You have to do this, or you lose my business. I had to do it. So yeah, but there are people who end up reaching out. It's either referral, so mostly inbound or referral. That's what my like current customer acquisition strategy is. And I do market education. I explain people what's going on and whatnot. That's how I do things, yeah. But generally telling to people who are on cloud that hey, you should get off cloud is something I won't even advise. um, because that's a migration process that is like headache. I would rather not do it right now.
So if I can do a reverse chronology here, I mean, in the sense that, I mean, you were working, I mean, you're a co-founder at Cure, and you've been there for almost close to a decade now. In terms of like, leaving and then doing this, starting this from scratch, walking away from, I mean, Cure is one of the most, if I'm not wrong, I mean, it's one of the most well known, and I think company that is in the deep learning era, at least, which has done really really well. So kind of walking away from that and deciding to any reflections on that?
I'm proud of my Cure heritage. See what I'm wearing. So I'm proud of it, man. I'm so proud of it. It's one of the coolest things I've done. I ended up making an AI doctor, and it actually works, and it actually like the doctor is able to diagnose diseases better than humans actually. So yeah, so I did my thing. Like I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of what I did. I'm pretty very proud of the team I worked with. I'm most of them. I mean, I'm calling it team. They're my friends. Literally, I'm gonna meet them. I met them last weekend. I'm gonna meet them next weekend. So they're I'm in touch, constant touch with them. I mean, it's like it's I don't see so. So it was a very painful decision for me to walk away from it. It was a really painful decision, and the reason I did it is because, see, I got tired of healthcare. It's precisely, you said it's a decade. So I spent decade of my life in healthcare. I was doing really hard stuff, and like just and then the service levels that healthcare guys require is like so high. I just got burnt out, man. So I felt like, you know what, I should take a break. So that's how I ended up. That's how I ended up moving out, because it was very stressful work. You see, if your model, like, fine, man, if your chat GPT or whatever, you will tell some bullshit. Yeah, what happens? Yeah, the guy will like do, just Google it and find out, right? I mean, if our algorithms tell that this patient does not have stroke, or and but ends up having stroke, I might have ended up killing him, killing the person. That's how serious the situation is. So if anything goes wrong, I am always on. We're always on fire, always on fire. It's like always we are like always on fire, because of the we are dealing with lives, right? So that's the reason, like, I got burnt out of that thing, and I felt like, let's do something outside healthcare. But I'm in my opinion, I'm still somewhat continuing my work there, uh, by doing this edge deployments.
You're still part of Cure, right? If I'm not wrong, I don't. At least that's what I saw on your LinkedIn. I think you're still
I'm
part
still
time of it.
associated with them. I'm still associated with them, yes.
You kind of got burnt out working in the healthcare, and that's why you ended up doing. You didn't want to do anything in healthcare, and I think we also spoke when I told you that I wanted to start something in healthcare, and then you were like, "Healthcare is very, very difficult, and you have
Yeah.
to be very." So then I moved away from healthcare. Yeah. So yeah.
Healthcare is really difficult. It's not for faint-hearted, man. It's like really difficult stuff. Yeah, I think the value system is very different from the other industries. They just operate at a different level altogether. They're they are first to adopt everything. They are first to try out everything, last to put it in mainstream, last to put it in production. That's how I would describe healthcare is. They would try it the first. They would try it the first, like with healthcare AI. Like, if you see the most successful AI in general, right now, deployed right now, which actually makes difference to the world, is healthcare AI. Right, as of now, the ones that are deployed right now. That's because they adopted CNNs the moment they came, right? But they did not put it in mainstream use yet, because mainstream use takes forever. So there are those zealous people, there are those people who are very interested about doing things in saving lives. Those doctors, they will be the first to adopt. They will adopt AI, and then they'll be like, they want to like do something to the world and like save people, right? And then there will be like, but that's only the minority of the people. The majority of the people, the mainstream, will take forever to accept this solution. So that's because, like, just people have like very high risk calculus. So they are ready to take advantage of new technology, but they want to ensure it is like super safe. So they will make you go through like heck ton of regulation, heck ton of like, yeah, just making your life hell. They will do it. I have gone through it.
Uh, do you have any message for anyone who's looking to start something in healthcare?
All the best. Visit hospitals. I think, stay with your customer. Sit in their room all the freaking time. Observe what's going on in the hospital. You just by doing remote calls, you get nothing. So you just have to go there and sit with them and like understand what the heck is happening.
At Cure, if I'm not wrong, I think in the like you mentioned, right? Like I mean, healthcare is one of the industries which is one of the first to adapt tech, or at least bleeding edge tech. You also spoke about CNNs. If I can get slightly technical here, in the sense that do you think that, I mean, CNNs were all the rage, I think 4 or 5 years back. Now multimodal LLMs are all the rage. I mean, do you think that the age of CNNs is is it over? Are we at the end of like CNN era? And do you think like LLMs are going to consume or subsume everything?
No, 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 no. See, One guy said somewhere, I don't remember the guy's name. Anything that works is software. Anything that doesn't work is AI. So that's the general thing. So right now CNN is software. It works. So CNN is now subsumed into software world. It just works. So it's like our databases, are LLMs taking over databases? Probably not. Are LLMs taking over? Are LLMs taking over? I don't know. Concurrent computing? No. Are LLM taking over programming languages? No. Are LLMs taking over CNNs? No. CNNs have their own place, and LLMs. It's just that CNNs got boring because they started working, and in few days, in few years, LLMs will also get boring, and then when they start working.
If I can flip that question a little bit, I understand.
Mm.
I know where you're coming from, but if I can give you like the way I'm thinking about this is like let's say for classification or detection or yeah, classification or detection, right? Like where earlier you might have used CNNs. I think now if there are vision LLMs, VLLMs which with let's say a billion parameter or 2 billion parameters. Um if they are like competitive in terms of like accuracy and like your inference and your model size, do you think people will start moving away from like, I mean, if VLMs get so better at all these things, one is accuracy, one is inference, and one is like model size, parameter size, if they get like really efficient in all of these aspects, first is, do you see that happening? Second is, if that is true, then do you think that the CNN era will be behind us? Like what happened to LSTM, right? Like after, I mean, LSTM didn't really survive. Like nobody's out there using LSTM stuff like that.
No, I think I'll answer your LSTMs thing later. Remind me about that if I did not answer. Now coming back to your CNN's question, you see, you have to break down this problem. Uh, so VLLMs, number one, like the folks who do use VLLMs right now, and they're computationally very expensive. You cannot deploy them easily and all that. Uh, Leaving aside those points, can you put a VLLM in production? Can you put them in production and actually make them work reliably well? No, you cannot. You cannot. Like they will keep on hallucinating bullshit, and there's no way for you to control other than the idiot prompt, which is like ultra bullshit way of controlling models. Fine, man. Like it's great to get the POC out. Great to get the POC out and show that hey, this works on these 10 examples and like wave hands. Put it in production and then make it work. Then we will talk, right? I don't think it'll work. I mean, I've seen it doesn't work. It doesn't work very well because the generative. So this is the generative AI part, right? So the generative part of LLMs is that, or VLMs is that you can prompt it. You can prompt it to do things. Well, that's exactly both its strength and weakness. The fact that you can prompt it means you can build a prototype very easily. The fact prompted in English means, the fact that you can prompt it in English means you can build a prototype easily. Just write in the prompt, does this photo have a cat or dog? All right. But that's the same thing that also puts you in jeopardy when you are putting in production, because you are programming in English. What is English? Like people don't, I mean, there's a reason why we don't program computers in English, because like English is an inexact language. So you will need to control this. So you will need to control your model. Like how do you control? So that there the current generative AI aspect of it is, I think we'll have to take some we'll have to accept at least some limitations there. I don't understand. I don't know what those limitations are going to be. Some specific decoding strategies or something, but that's a problem for sure. You cannot control them. You cannot control them beyond programming in just English, and that's not cool for production use, because you will end up a lot of edge cases and you don't know how to deal with those edge cases in English. Now, second, the CNNs versus transformers. That's a different question altogether, because you can train a discriminative model also on a transformer, and those are indeed coming. Vision transformers are one of the popular models. Some of the popular models. This is model called a segment anything. That has a vision transformer based encoder. So there are vision transformer based encoders that people are using, but uh, the utility of it over a normal CNN, is questionable right now. The people whom I do know who are training this, they are not really considering vision transformers. They are performing just okay. But if you want to prompt them, probably yeah, they are the best way. Like transformers are the best for now. For now, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. So, and finally, to the LSTM's question, you said the LSTM has gone out of fashion and gone out completely. I beg to differ. The whole paradigm of LSTM is back again, and that's what we are doing with this all this inference time compute and all. Literally, what is this decoding doing? It's exactly doing this sequentially one after another. That's pretty much what LSTM was about. It was recurrent neural network. It was recursively decoding it. That's what we are doing now. That's what we are doing now. It's just that we figured out how to parallelize them in training. That's what transformer did. But during decoding, we still are stuck with the same sort of LSTM sort of thing right now, where you decode one after another. It's not any different, honestly. We are doing the same thing now. So LSTM, the paradigm didn't go away anywhere. It's just like just lived in a different. Yeah, Schmidt Huber will be very happy if he hears this.
So generally, while training LLMs or generally while training deep learning models, most of them or almost all of them are trained on NVIDIA chips, and most of them or all of them will end up using CUDA. How important do you think this mode of CUDA is for NVIDIA? Do you think is it not only today but in a few years down the line? Do you think it'll be that strong of a mode for them, or do you think people are going to chip away at it?
Mm, I tried to chip away at it, so I'm well placed to answer this. So thing is, the CUDA mode. CUDA mode is primarily from the fact that right now most of the AI code is written in CUDA. The dependencies are in CUDA. So that is the main problem that you face. And PyTorch, for example, now supports Intel GPUs, AMD GPUs, NVIDIA GPUs. It used to only support NVIDIA GPUs. Now it supports all three GPUs. Just pretty fine, actually. But the problem you will face is when you start using other libraries, they will have depended on that specific version of PyTorch which has CUDA in it, and they will have hard-coded CUDA in their dependencies. For example, take take VLM, which is a very famous inferencing, which is very nice inferencing framework written in PyTorch. It does like the mainstream use of VLM is with NVIDIA GPUs. So the VLM supports NVIDIA GPUs the best because VLM depends. So VLM like for the NVIDIA GPU, so it's the way it works is if the GPU is equals, it's the way the code works is if the GPU is NVIDIA, do dot CUDA. If the GPU is AMD, do dot ROCm, or if the GPU is in Intel, you do dot XPU. This is what the sort of like the thing works, right? And VLM supports basically the supports NVIDIA really well. But the moment you start using AMD, you start facing troubles. It's like very painful to set it up. For Intel, you give up. So this is because the dependencies are like that. You understand, right? So the dependencies, PyTorch itself is very open and wants to support all GPUs. But these folks, like the other guys, don't see enough reason to support it, so they won't support it. So this is the main mode that they have, is the moving the whole community out of it, right? And that's not going to be easy. So that's the mode that they have. No one programs in CUDA. Like there are I mean very few, I mean not no one, very few people program in CUDA. If you go to AI folks and say, do you know CUDA, no one freaking knows. So no one knows. So that's the invisible mode. Really speaking, it's not a thing that is like very visible, but still like it is hard. Now whether this will be broken, I think it will not be broken. I think it will not be broken in the mainstream server world. Like the whole training, I think will keep on happening on NVIDIA. I think that is very hard to break. uh, Inference is one place where edge and inference is one place where I believe like competition has a chance. For example, see, this is what happened to Intel and ARM. So Intel was like, right now Intel is in shitty condition. Intel was like Nvidia before. the monopoly owns everything, sort of, right? And then why did Intel go to shit right now? Is that Intel remained in the mainstream server PC sort of world, and then the edge world, the IoT world, that is the phone, right? Phone attacked Intel from the down. So Intel never entered the phone market because phones were too cheap. Like, you can make more money on servers and PCs. Phones were always very cheap, so Intel never entered the market. So ARM and TSMC entered the under like market from phones, and then it's now starting to attack Intel in their main game itself, both servers and PCs. Whether they will succeed is a question, but they are at least succeeded in disrupting the like in creating a new market for themselves in phones, right? ARM and this. So that happened from the down, and this is a very standard. It's a very standard thing. Innovator's dilemma, it's called, and it's a very standard paradigm that happened many times. Like, there's a disruption that comes from the down, from the bottom, not from the top. Like, the most demanding customers will still use the incumbent, which is Nvidia right now. But some people who do care about a specific characteristics like power consumption or privacy, so there will be new edge sort of deployments. Those edge deployments might start to attack Nvidia from the down, but it's going to take some time. Their range just started. So their range just started. I think it's going to be some years before a viable competition shows up. Right now, it's not there at all. Uh, I think the viable competition has to start showing up in the gaming, and then gaming to edge AI and edge AI to this. But Intel is trying, AMD is trying. We'll see where they go.
Who do you think has the best chance here, though? Like,
I was on Team Blue uh, until last year. I was literally using Intel GPUs to do all my AI inferencing. I was using I was using their Intel Arc 770 24 GB GPU in my machine, and that made my price of the machine was also just 2 lakhs with it. I could make the price low, but it like I could get it working. Okay, it's not that I couldn't get it working, but the problem is I need to spend so much time optimizing different models that my customers want. So I just switched to Nvidia, and my life is right now peaceful, at least to ship. But yeah, I do think Intel has a good chance, because for them it's like do or die. Honestly, it's do or die. They are like being bitten from all sides. So either you do GPUs or you die. I think they will do. Their new GPUs are good. Their new GPUs are good. B580 it's called. It's very good.
yeah, I mean, also, I think at this point, I think inference market has a lot of competition as well. I think Grok and I think Cerebras and
No, man. Have you seen anyone who has access to a Grok GPU? Like like a Grok, not API. Like,
I have tried the API. I have tried the
ah,
API.
yeah, I don't count that as like that's cloud, dude. Like, you're just using someone else's computer. No, it's the thing is nothing. This is the test. The test is whether you can get hands on the GPU. So if you cannot get hands on the GPU, it's basically useless. So they are with both Grok and Cerebras. Each thing costs you like upwards of millions and millions of dollars. Each deployment, just to run Llama 3 7B, it's gonna cost you like millions and millions of dollars. Who's gonna buy it? My machine is 2.5 lakhs. Like, understand, like, you understand the difference. Like, who's gonna pay that much? So yeah, they're just not the fair comparison. They're just not fair comparison at all, because no one's gonna deploy them, and they are right now doing well because of VC money. Like, VCs are pumping money into them. Sooner than later, they will have to get out of that because it's too much capital expenditure.
But my guess would be that, I mean, the way they would be making their revenues would be from the API revenue, right? Not from the deployment per se. Is that fair? Or
No, I don't think they are making much revenue to recoup their capital costs.
in the future? I mean, in the future, even in the future, you don't think so, is it?
Someone else like me will bomb the prices if they're doing that.
Finally, any books that you're reading these days, or any recommendations that you'd like to share?
Okay. So the latest book that I have in my Kindle is this book called as Presentation of Self in Everyday Life. It's a sociology sociology book, so you can read that. And but recommendation, if there's one book that I recommend, so go read this book called as Dream Machine. It's about how computers became personal.
So on that note, Sasank, thank you so much for taking the time. It was lovely to have you here today, and thank you, and have a nice week.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Right. Bye bye.